Hello and a very warm welcome to the theIAShub. My name is Madhusudan Reddy and today I'm here to discuss about the various parameters that are taken into account while one choosing their optional subject. If you do have any doubts, you can post your doubts into the comment section. We'll be addressing them. And coming back to the optional, see, your optional subject is one of the most important component in the mains examination. If you choose a right optional, there is no doubt that it is very easy for you and 50% of the burden at the mains level is gone. On the other side, if you choose a wrong optional for you, then it will be a difficult task for you to make it to the list. And every year there are many students who do this blunder thinking that मेरे लिए कोई भी optional comfortable है, I can do any optional. See, a student need to be aware of these parameters while they choose their optional. Those parameters that we'll be discussing in very detail. Right? So, firstly, I have to tell you that your optional subject will act as a bridge between you and your success. Okay? A bridge should be very, very strong. Right? Because optional subject has 500 marks at the mains level. And while you choosing this optional subject, make sure that this optional subject will also benefit you at the scoring and also scoring into the general studies also and also scoring at various other levels. Okay. So broadly speaking, if you have gone through the notification, UPSC gives you a list of subjects that you can choose for you as an optional. So all these optional subjects can be broadly categorized into 6 different categories. Now here, if you look, they can be language papers. Now these language papers, there are 23 language papers. These language papers are nothing but the literature subjects, and usually someone who has very command into their literatures, they do take up, or someone who has very keen into the literatures, one should go there. Right. Now coming to the commerce and management is a subject which is for the chartered accountants and also for the people who do have background into the commerce and accountancy. Right. Now commerce and accountancy as well as medical sciences, choosing these kind of optionals, you need some proficiency. Means you need to be studying them at the graduation level. Else these subjects are very, very difficult in terms of accessing the material, and they are very, very technical in terms of their language or etymology. Right? So usually doctors go for this, or someone who has their medical background, they take up this optional subject. Next, coming back, languages. See, languages has its own advantages and disadvantages. What are they? We will be discussing. Come back. You're left with engineering subjects. Engineering subjects, usually someone who have studied the engineering at a honest level, you guys will go for it. And usually these subjects are taken by someone who is also preparing for Indian engineering services, or else who has very good command in their own graduation subject while doing their engineering. Right? Now the issues with the engineering subjects is that in the engineering area, usually there are not many faculties who can teach you. It is you have to find your own way for the civil services. Right? Now coming to the social sciences and the sciences. The social sciences and sciences, there is a fundamental difference between science and social science. The science subjects deals with theories. It tells you about the evidences and it is worried about the nature. Right? Nature may, it will identify some scientific principles and they are broadly categorized into different subjects. Right? Sciences always have some theories, some evidences. Now, if those evidences are utilized for the human perspective or human behavioral aspects or the welfare of the human, that will be your social sciences. Okay? That means there is some commonality. You have to learn about those theories and apply those theories to the human welfare, or onto the practical scale, right? Now these are the broad categories on a philosophical level. See here, you look into the social sciences, these are the most sorted optional subjects in the UPSC civil services examination. Now next sorted optionals can be anything. Now here, choosing an optional subject should be on the basis of your interest. Okay, that is the first parameter you need to take into account, right? You can have your interest into the Urdu also, you can all have your interest into Bengali literature also, you can have your interest in the law as well, right? Now interest ke saath saath, a student should also be looking forward for a subject that will help you in the mains level, in the prelims level, and at the interview level, right? So if you are choosing a subject which is not helping you at any stage, be it prelims or in the general studies, then you will generally spend studying those general studies subjects plus an additional time studying about the optional subject such as literature subjects, maybe some engineering subjects, or else medical science, right? Now they have their own advantage because generally people who belong to that particular educational background, they choose. For them it is not much difficulty, right? So come back here. Today what we will be doing is we will take up a subject called geography and we will try to understand the importance of this subject geography for UPSC civil services as an optional subject, right? Rest of the subjects our faculties will be dealing in very detail about each one topic, each one subject, right? So today I'll be taking up geography as a concept or geography as an optional subject and the advantages and the disadvantages. What are the difficulties while one chooses this optional subject, or what are the benefits when one take up this optional subject, right? See, everyone knows that UPSC has 3 stages: prelims, mains, and interview. So if you are choosing a subject, if it can help you at prelims also, at the mains level also, at the interview also, and in essay also, that would be the perfect fit. And that perfect fit will be none other than your subject called geography, right? Now how is this subject called geography helping you at prelims level, at the mains level, and at the interview level also? See, you know that in the prelims on an average 10 lakh people apply, and from there only 10 to 12k make it to the final list. And then you write mains. In the mains there are around 12,000 people writing, and only around 3,000 make it to the interview. See, the real game of optional mostly falls here, right, at the mains level. But here choosing this optional is a very important thing. If you choose a right optional, you can also clear prelims and you can also get an added advantage at the interview level. And one such subject is geography. This is what I've told you, right? Look, every year on an average this 10 lakh people write the exam, and out of that 10 to 12k clear. And in this, geography students who are having geography as an optional are the highest number who will be clearing their prelims. Why? Can anyone tell me? It is because this subject at the preliminary level you have Indian Forest Service and Civil Services prelims as the common preliminary exam. That's why there are more number of questions into the UPSC Civil Services prelims from the subjects of environment as well as geography. Now why are these questions from environment and geography are asked? Because it is a common exam for the Indian Forest Service. See, I'll be showing you some data. This data will tell us why is this subject so popular. It is because, see, every year UPSC will give you an annual report, and in that annual report it will give you the list of number of students who have cleared prelims with a particular optional subject. And this report is called as the UPSC annual report. So today I have the 71st annual report with me. Look into the data of the 71st annual report. The 71st annual report says that number of candidates who have cleared prelims with that particular optional subject. Look, these are the subjects, and this is the number of students who have cleared. In this, if you broadly look into, agriculture has 124, animal husbandry has 16 students cleared prelims. But look at geography. Geography has the highest number, which is at 1916. Now, no other subject other than geography has this highest number, right? Now, any other subject, when you are choosing, you look into, they are somewhere near to this geography. It is 1 or 2 subjects are there. But why this subject has the highest number? It is because civil services preliminary examination, common exam for forestry as well as, yes, civil services preliminary. Because of that, forestry say questions will be there, and agriculture there are questions, and there are also laws and regulations from the environmental angle as well. So when you have all of these topics, geography is considered to be the most important topic with them, right? Now see, look at the number of questions that are asked from the preliminary examination. I'll be showing you the number of questions that have been asked from the UPSC Civil Services preliminary examination in the year 2022. See, this is the broad list. You look into the number of questions here that are asked, UPSC Civil Services Prelims Paper 2022. Now, alone geography and environment together, if you combine, there are 30 plus questions which are asked in the preliminary examination. And I'll also be sharing you this PDF in the link given in the description. There is a Telegram channel. You can go and directly download this PDF from there, right? So come back. So there are near about 34 questions. 34 questions may say, when you take up geography as an optional, out of this 34, usually what does the students do is they manage to make up 25 to 27 questions correct. Rest might be into negative, or they may not attempt. So if they are managing to make up 25 to 27 questions as correct, they will be scoring 50 to 54 marks, right? What was the cutoff of UPSC Civil Services Prelims? On an average, since last 2 years, it is around 90. See, when you can read one particular subject called geography and environment and master them and get 50 to 54, don't you think that by reading history, polity, economy and other science and tech subjects together, can't you score another 50 marks? Easily scoreable. And this is the strategy most of the geography optional students, they do opt and adapt, right? They will not lose any kind of geography and environment question asked in the preliminary examination, because these students, what do is they read that subject in a detailed manner, because they will be studying at a very depth in their options. I'll also show you the syllabus of this optional subject, so that while reading for their optional without their knowledge, by practicing this subject questions, they will be easily able to clear this preliminary examination. Yes, this is the first advantage this subject has. Now look out for your own subject if you do have these kind of advantages, right? Secondly, if you look into the general studies level, right? Now let's consider that, let us study the second point, that is at the mains level, how this subject helps. You have paper 1, you have paper 2, you have paper 3, you also have paper 4, plus you also have essay, right? In the paper 1, everyone knows the subjects that are part. You have history, you have geography, you have society. See, geography alone in the general studies paper 1, out of 250, the questions in the mains examination are 125 marks that are asked. I'll be showing you the questions here. You just to look into those questions and calculate the number of marks that are asked into the general studies paper 1. See, this general studies paper 1, I'll show you the questions that are asked from the geography itself. Look, now how does a smart aspirant look into? Read this question. This is General Studies paper 1. Differentiate the cause of landslides in the Himalayan region and the Western Ghats. So these kind of questions, people who study geography optional, for them it is very easy. So that's why even paper 1 scoring will be very easy for you if you are having geography as an optional, right? Now look into the number of questions and the type of questions here. Despite India being one of the countries of the Gondwana land, its mining industry contributes much less to its gross domestic product in percentage. Discuss. Right? Again, a geography question. Next question, what are the environmental impacts of the reclamation of water bodies into urban land use? Explain with examples. Again, a geography question. Mention the global occurrences of volcanic eruptions in 2021 and their impacts on regional environment. Again, a geography question. Like that, you look into paper 1. Let's try to calculate the number of questions or number of marks that are being part of the geography. See, the 10 marker questions are 1, 2, 3 and 4 plus 5. 5 10 marker questions which accounts for 50 marks, and then look into the 15 marker questions which have been asked from geography. Briefly mention the alignment of major mountain ranges of the world and explain their impact on the local weather conditions. So 15 marks. Again, how do the melting of Arctic ice and glaciers of the Antarctic differently affect the weather patterns and human activities onto the earth? Explain. Geography question. So look into the number of 15 marker questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 into 15, how much? So you calculate and tell me. Collectively, it will account for, in the paper 1, on an average, from the geography, 5 into 10 questions and 5 into 15 marker questions. Together, it accounts for 125 marks. Now, what is the total number of marks in paper 1? That means 50% of the weightage in the paper 1 is from geography. So what does the students who take up geography optional, what do? They study their optional at in-depth, and they leave this general studies 1 geography and they simply write very good answers because the same topics they study in-depth into their optional. This is their advantage. Now secondly, this is the paper 1. Now look into the paper 3. Paper 3, you have subjects like science and tech, economy, and then you have disaster management, you also have environment. Right? See, both disaster management and environment are the sister subjects of geography. Why? Why is this environment a sister subject of geography? See, only when you study geography, it will be very easy for you to understand the subject called environment. Without you studying geography, environment is a very big difficult task. Now, look into the syllabus of geography optional. I'll be showing you your geography optional broadly can be categorized into 10 different chapters in paper 1 and 10 different chapters in paper 2. See, your geography optional has 20 chapters. Any optional subject you choose, it has 20 different chapters. Now, in the physical geography, you have geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, and environmental geography. Look, this is where you will study at a depth of environment. Right? You're also studying environment. Right? And you'll also study about various different disasters and their phenomena in the geography optional. So for you, it will be very easy, or an aspirant who has this optional, it is very, very easy for them to write those answers. And also look into the number of questions and the type of questions that are asked in the paper 3. Look, this is the paper 3 and calculate the number of marks. In the paper 3, the questions that come from the environmental angle are, how did land reforms in some part of the country help to improve the socio-economic conditions of marginal and small farmers? You might be thinking that, sir, ye land reforms geography mein kahan se aaya? I'll show you. Geography optional has a great topic which mentions about land reform. and that particular student studies them in detail and they do not waste their time here. So how and what extent would micro irrigation help in solving India's water crisis? So this is again an environmental and geographical question. Paper, explain the purpose of Green Grid initiative launched at the World Leaders Summit of COP26 UN Climate Change Conference in the Glasgow in November 21. This is a current affairs, again environmental related question. So if you know the background behind it from the geography and environment, it is easy for you to write. So broadly speaking, look, just calculate the number of marks here, 10, 20, 30, and then you have two more questions, 50 plus 15 marker questions, 1, 2, 3. So 3 15 marker questions and 5 10 markers. So together this is accounting for near about 90 marks. Okay, if not 90, sometimes 100 marks also. So if you are taking up geography as an optional, on an average you have an added advantage in paper 1 and paper 3. So you will be having 125 marks prepared here plus around 100 marks, which together account for 225 marks, right? 225 marks, an advantage which you are having without even you focusing on the general studies. Now, how many marks does the entire general studies have? It has, your GS has 1000 marks. Out of this, you will have an added advantage of 225, right? And you will also be preparing for 500 marks of geography optional. So collectively, you will be preparing for 725 marks without your knowledge, right? So a smart aspirant takes up geography, try to balance them by studying more optional and then 25 marks extra they try to get it. If not for 225, at least 200 to compete karega, and usually they have a better content. Now this is an other advantage which an optional student from geography has, right? Now once look into the geography papers, I'll show you the optional subject papers of geography. Here geography optional subject papers has questions that can be fetched very high mark. Why? It is because there is no ambiguity in the geography optional papers or the questions. Usually when there are more thinkers into a particular subject, they'll be thinking about a lot different perspectives. But in geography optional, you do not have many thinkers, limited thinkers. Only one chapter has thinkers. Rest of the chapters do not have. They are scientific principles, and that scientific principles kaise apply kiya jata hai, those things we are studying. Suppose you have earth, so everyone has their consensus about this earth. It is not that they do not have diversified opinions. All the geographers, or else 90% of the geographers, they do agree that the earth has a common principle. So that's why the ambiguity in this subject is gone. There is no multiple opinions. Multiple opinions, when there are there, it is very difficult for a student to understand that question, and it is very difficult to interpret, Arey, kisne pucha ye question, or from which perspective it has come. So that's why this subject is a logical subject, very, very logical subject, no doubt in it. So this logical subject will give you a very scientific answer writing, right? And you look into the papers of optional. This is the optional paper 2 of geography. See, in the optional paper 2 of geography, this is one optional subject which will give you the highest advantage in a paper 2 question which is having 20 marks. Now this paper 2 question 20 marks is based on mapping. A map will be given to you in the examination. On that map you have to mark the points, and I am telling you with 100% conviction, if you do practice a decent mapping sessions, there on an average you can score 15 to 18 marks in this particular area. No other subject or no other particular subject will get or will give you 20 marks ke liye 15 plus marks. One such subject where you can get high. So that's why you see on an average in the top 10 there will be a geography optional student. ठीक है, if not top 10, top 20 में देखो और top 100 में देखो, at least 10% will be from geography option. Why? Is because they do have high markings from these areas, right? So this is another parameter which one needs to look into. Come back, if you look into the syllabus of geography as an optional, geography syllabus can be broadly be divided into 10 different chapters. This is what I have told you. In this 10 different chapters, many people will be thinking that ye ek technical subject hai. Many people have the misconception that the syllabus of geography is very vast and it's a technical subject and there is mapping in it. See, mapping means you need to be having a clear-cut clarity in the difference between what is mapping and also what is map pointing. In the geography optional, you have map pointing. A map will be given to you. You have to point on that map, right? That is map pointing. Now coming to the mapping, see, mapping generally has scale. You're not supposed to map. What you have to do is you have to draw diagrams. You have to draw these diagrams anyways in the GS paper 1, GS paper 3. In the geography optional, you will be practicing it at very detailed level. And it's not very difficult. See, many people have the misconception that मुझे mapping नहीं आता तो मैं कैसे सीख लूँ? See, mapping, it should look like a map of US. So this is your US, right? It should look like US. You need not scale that US. For example, if you wanted to draw South America, for me, drawing South America is a 3 and then a reverse 3. This can be your South America. Or else for you, this can be a 7 and this can be your South America. If this is difficult, I don't think drawing any other diagram will also be very difficult for you, right? So you should not be worried, and an aspirant should not be worried about map or drawing. Within a period of 1 week, 1 week under, you will be pro in this mapping session, right? Come back. Now the complaints of geography, generally most of the students do have the misconception that sir ye syllabus काफी vast hai. Let me show you the syllabus. Firstly, this syllabus has paper 1, paper 2, paper 1 में 10 chapters है, paper 2 में 10 chapters है. In the paper 1, you will have 5 subtopics or 5 chapters in physical geography and 5 chapters in human geography. Then you have 10 chapters in Indian geography, right? When one prepares Indian geography, it is very easy for them to answer even the paper 2 also, even paper 3 also. Here you will study at a depth. When you study all of these components, it generally feels like the subject is very vast. No, subject is not vast. There is a difference between vast subject and a detailed list. This optional subject has very detailed syllabus given into the examination, or syllabus is very clearly defined. It's a very defined syllabus. See, when the syllabus is not clearly defined, there is a problem. Questions can come from anywhere. The questions can be asked from nook and corners. But when you have a defined syllabus, it is very easy for us to prepare, and then you can get good content. As already geography is chosen by many number of aspirants and who have cleared, and geography is a most popular subject which is available in every department or every university. That is the reason why there is a very good content available and a very good research available from the universities and across the fraternities, right? So look here, no doubt that the syllabus looks vast, but how vast it is? This particular subject can be studied in a matter of 5 months. Not 5 months is the in and around time period you can complete this, that too in a detailed manner, right? Look, the syllabus of physical geography can be broadly divided into 5 different chapters. Now these particular topics, in your general studies, if you look into the syllabus of geography, it clearly says that this subject, this is the GS subject, ठीक है? GS में जो syllabus दिया हुआ, look, salient features of the world physical geography, it says. Salient features of the world physical geography. It only mentioned about physical geography. But in optional, what do? They go into little detail and they mention about physical geography. In the physical geography, what do you study? You study about geomorphology, you study about climatology, you study about oceanography, biogeography, and environmental geography. Right? Now, this environmental geography is nothing but it is environment. Right? Rest, geomorphology, what do you study? You study about the formations of various landforms, their processes, and their forces. What are the forces that help them to generate? Simply speaking, what is within the interior of the earth and what is there on the surface of the earth, how did they form? Your reasons behind that is your geomorphology. And students do have the general misconception that ye technical subject hai. The technical subject means is technical, right? Geography optional is not a technical subject. It is a logical subject. Logical subject it is because when you start to understand few components, then this will be the base for next topic understanding. And this will create a base for next topic understanding. Right? So there is a logic behind every topic. If you do not understand this logic, then this subject may seem difficult to you. But when you understand the logic, this is not a difficult subject at all, and it is the most sorted subject. So look here, your geomorphology, what do you study is that you study what is there within the interior of the earth, right? And then the formations and the reasons behind these formations, this is what you will be studying. Look, there are many principles that talks about what exactly do you find within the interior of the earth, and one major theory is about the endogenic forces and the exogenetic forces. In the endogenic forces, there are some kind of activity that is happening within the interior of the earth, and then those activities will lead to the changes on the surface of the earth, such as volcanoes, such as earthquakes, and then tsunamis. How are they formed? What are the reasons? All these things are studied into geomorphology, and they do have some scientific principles behind them. Those things we have to study. Right? Now, in this, there are theories that explains how did this mountain form, how did these plates move. So, it is a logical subject where they do not have multiple diversified opinions and do not confuse the student. So that's why this subject gives you a very good understanding of the entire interior and exterior of the earth as well. These things are well discussed into the geomorphology. Now coming back, the second topic that deals with is the climatology in the physical geography. The climatology in physical geography, what do you study? You study, imagine this is your earth, into the 10 kilometers, you go into the height of 10 kilometers above the surface of the earth. Most of the atmosphere of the earth is confined to this level, or else all the living responsible atmosphere is present in this layer. So you study about this particular layer, the cloud formations, the wind formations, the movement of the wind, why is the rain happening, what are the reasons for that rainfall, and how that rainfall is linked with the economy. These things we will be studying here, right? So everything in this ground level to 10 kilometers and little above. So 90% of the climatology syllabus is here and 10% of the climatology syllabus might be here. And its applications, you will be studying it in the paper too, right? So this climatology is very logical again, very, very logical subject. On an average, at least 2 questions to 3 questions are there from these 2 topics in the preliminary exam, right? And for many of the students, they think that geography means geomorphology, climatology, oceanography. For most of them, their geography ends here. But the real geography, actually, the application of all of these components. Okay? Application of all of these components, for example, you study geomorphology. Applied geomorphology, how do you apply the geomorphology to the public? Right? Next, climatology. When you start to understand climate, you will be able to understand the concepts of environment very easy. And then you will be able to write the paper 3 answers also very easily. Because when you understand the climate well, climate change is a subtopic which is in the environment of general studies paper 3. There you will find it very, very easily answering them. Right? If you know the reasons behind it, naturally the flow of the answer, the content will come out with very ease. If you don't know the reasons behind, then it will be a difficult task. Right? Now come back. Next is oceanography. You study about the various landforms within the ocean. Now here there are more landforms within the ocean than on the land, and there are also more life forms within the ocean than on the land. And in the oceanography, if you look into the syllabus, your oceanography talks about various landforms within the ocean, and then it also talks about the planes which are more in the ocean than on the land, and the movement of the water, tides, currents, and its impact, as well as it talks about the multiple landforms that you see within the interior of the ocean. And the oceans that you see generally, your perspective changes completely when you study this subject called geography, and this is the area where one can score very high marks. Most of the students go do geomorphology, spend there so much of time there, but the reality is that when you study oceanography and environmental geography and climatology, you will get a better score. And we will be doing it in a detailed manner in these particular topics, right? And coming to the oceanography mein, you study about all of these landforms. Why are they formed? Tides. Why do you have high tides? Why do you have low tides? What are the reasons? Different types of tides, currents. Kis direction mein kaun sa pani move hota hai? So it is again a logical concept, right? Like this, you will be studying about various oceans, be it Pacific Ocean, be it Indian Ocean, and also how does the water move across the oceans, right? There is water that is moving on the surface, and there is also water that is moving in the interior of the ocean. So you will be studying about both water and how it will impact the life form, the desert formations across the land masses. So it is very important for you to have a holistic idea. एक superficial idea तो होना चाहिए आप optional पढ़ने से पहले, because without they knowing, they jump in and then they feel it difficulty. So if you think that you can learn it at a very easy on a logical basis, it is very, very easy for you, right? Come back. Our next syllabus talks about biogeography. In the biogeography, we study about the soils and the formations, how does the soil formed, and linkages of the soil with the vegetation, right? This is what is something which you will study here. And lastly, environment. The fundamental principle behind the environment is that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, rather we borrow it from our grandchildren. And for that, what are the principles that are there, you will be studying them. And when you study this topic, it is very easy for you to score in prelims. And paper 3 mains, you will have an added advantage, right? Come back. Now, when one studies these topics, you have to apply all of this here and also here into the human geography. Means your human geography talks about the various principles behind them and some theories which are related to settlement, which are related to population. That's why population topics can also be answered in the paper 1. Paper 3, paper 2, mapping. When you study in a detailed way mapping, you can draw beautiful maps in your GS papers. You can also understand the international relations with ease when you know the locations of them, right? Clear? Come back. Now here, broadly speaking, the fundamentals of geography are here, and then you study about few theories here, and that theories you will apply it. For example, you look into the population and settlement geography. The famous example of India is that India में काफी ज़्यादा settlements जो है, काफी सारा settlements जो है, they are planned. You look into Chandigarh, it is a planned city. Indore, planned city. Gandhinagar, Dispur, Amaravati. Now what is common to all of these planned cities? Settlement is common to all of these planned cities. There is a limited settlement. Limited settlement means the government will put a settlement bar on them. It will not let to construct more than 2 floors or 3 floors. When they are constructed, that means the government will look into the parameters of this particular livability. Means, are there enough resources or not? Likewise, you start to apply those concepts. And when you start to read current affairs and apply them, beautiful examples will be found in the newspaper. And then these kind of examples you can also write in your general studies as well. Right? Clear? Come back. Now, models, theories and laws in human geography. There are some models and theories which talks about the international relations as well. Now, there is a famous theory which talks about the Spikeman and Macandar theory. It generally says that the entire Earth, the control will be in the heartland. This was earlier perceived theory. Heartland is something Russia and the Central Asian region, whoever holds that region, they are going to control the entire world. But little later, entire scenario of wars and the controlling system or the power system has changed. Now that is a rimland theory which talks about whoever owns the Indian Ocean region, they are going to rule the world. Why? Trade aspects are there. And also, most of the trade goes through that region. So theories which will be talking about these. So paper 1, human geography, talks about the humanistic aspects of geography, application of geography. Now here you will study about the principles behind the natural phenomena. Then you apply all of this into the paper 2. Paper 2 is very practical. Practical मतलब किस type की practicality होता है? Very general questions. Let me show you these paper 2 questions. Paper 2 questions, it is just, you will be surprised to know, are you studying the GS or are you studying the geography? Now, paper 2 mein the first question is always a mapping question. Out of 20, if your mapping is good, map pointing, you need not draw the map, you only need to point it here. Then you can score anywhere between 15 and 18. Look here, the kind of questions that are asked. Discuss the ecological and economic challenges of river linking in India. Now this is the same question asked in geography optional also. Paper 3 also the similar kind of questions have been asked. Right? Discuss the importance of solar energy in the future economic development of India. Very generalistic, but you have to write it from the geographical perspective. Examine the significance of ecotourism in relation to socio-economic development and biodiversity conservation in India. Discuss the reserves, distribution and production of all varieties of coal in India. See, broadly speaking, whatever you write in the paper 2 is all about India. Here, your India is the primary goal and you study about the India. Whatever you have studied in the paper 1, you will be studying them and applying it to the paper 2. Same, you will study about settlement geography, you will apply that settlement geography here. In India, you will give examples. Indore, New Delhi. New Delhi is a planned city. So let me show you this New Delhi or the settlements, how differently they are. Look here, this is the India Gate. A minute. Okay. See here, this is a well-planned city. New Delhi is a capital city of India, and this is a well planned city. If you look into aerial views, this is so beautifully planned, right? Now move few kilometers away from this region, you will find cavos being located here. So what is the difference between the previous settlement and this settlement? Now in the settlement geography and population geography, you start to understand the patterns of settlement and why do they have these kind of settlements. You go to the mountainous region. In the mountains, the settlement patterns are completely different. They are dispersed. They are completely oriented on the basis of the topography. And look into India, most of the population of India is primarily located across the areas of northern belt. Why? Because these are plains. And wherever there are mountains, there are less settlements. The settlements are very dispersed. What are the reasons? The north side of the mountains in India, more settlement, or the south side of the mountains, more settlement. So within the landforms also, the settlements you are going to learn in a detailed manner. So it is going to be a very holistic and very practical understanding of this particular subject. Now whatever you see, you learn it. Whatever you read in the newspapers, you are going to apply it and write it as an examples, right? And in the further classes, what we are going to do is, chapter by chapter, we are going to discuss in a detailed manner with their syllabus that is given. Now here our agenda is to understand the applications of this particular geography as an optional and scoring levels. So syllabus, many students do have, it is a vast syllabus. No, it's not a vast syllabus, it is a detailed syllabus. The syllabus is very, very detailed. When a detailed syllabus is there, easily you can make a note, right? And hardly 10 to 15 marks can go out of your head, above your head. Maybe you might have not heard across that word. Only in the geomorphology, you will have large number of terms. Rest of the area is mostly practicality that you will. So that's why students who take up geography optional, it is geomorphology, climatology and oceanography. They spend near about 1.5 months, 2 months here, and rest of the optional will be completed in 2.5 months, maximum 3 months. It is because these are vast, no doubt they are vast. Okay. It sounds little technical, it's not technical, it's logical. Okay. You need to have that aptitude to understand. Everyone can understand. Just about how you visualize. Today, with the advancement of technology, drawing diagrams is not easy. Showing the visual aspects is not easy. We have digital boards. So this advancement in the technology into the EdTech has made this subject very easy. Earlier, people used to juggle to understand these diagrams, drawing them. Now, this way of learning has made this subject easy, right? Come back. There are also some misconceptions among the students that this particular subject has low success rate. See, I also would like to tell you that success rate is a misconceived principle which most of the students have there in their mind. See, success rate is calculated on the basis of a particular number of students appearing in the mains. Imagine there is a subject called statistics in the year 2019. Only 2 students have cleared their prelims, whoever have appeared. Out of that, no student had made it to the list, final list. Imagine that out of these 2, even 1 person make it to the list. What is the success %? Right? Even if 1 person make it to the list, it is 50%. But on an average, you see geography students around 100 plus on an average, they make it, but still their success ratio is less. It is because large number of students are clearing prelims. It is because civil services preliminary examination and also forest service ka preliminary examination is a common exam. That's the reason why they have their added advantage in. Right? Now, if you think of going to an other optional subject, such as maybe an optional subject which is not part of any of this general studies syllabus. Okay. An optional subject which is not part of any of this GS3 or GS 1, 2, 3, 4. what you generally do is you have an advantage and you have a disadvantage. Okay. Now the disadvantage is that firstly, you spend the same amount of time on an average another aspirant is spending. You go back and you also read a subject from either languages or a subject which is not part of any general studies. You will spend another 5 months. If you do have the time, now that is well and good. If you do not have the time for the upcoming year, then you might have to work little more harder, right? And trust me, no optional is bad, no optional is good. Every optional has its own level playing field. It's just that are you comfortable with that optional subject or not? You have to check for yourself. Now how do you check that? You check it by reading that particular NCERT and listening to the classes of the faculty which you are comfortable with, and are they doing justice or not? Because a good notes, a good revision is something which will get you into the list. It's not just about this optional subject is taken by many number of people. It is an advantage, no doubt. When many number of students are clearing this particular subject or clearing exam with that subject, of course the notes is widely available, and when that notes is widely available, it is very easy for you to make a short notes out of it. And the game of mains examination is more about revision. The more the revision you do, the more the better answers you will write, right? Now coming to the geography optional mein advantages are that mapping is there. Now mapping is not a difficult task, it is drawing diagrams. It will give you an advantage in the paper 1. Paper 2 international relations में आप draw कर सकते हो. Paper 3 environment and the disaster management, so again a sister subject of geography, there you can. And coming to the essays, when you study the essays in a detailed manner of all the subjects, all the subtopics of geography, you also study about the interlinking of rivers, you also study about the land reforms, you also study about the oceans, geomorphology, climatology and environmental geography, the population, settlement, economic geography, planning, regional planning also. That means what types of regions and methods of regionalism, growth centers kya hota hai, growth poles kya hota hai. Your knowledge is very diverse. When you have this diversified knowledge and when you start to apply this thought process to the essays, it is very easy to write a beautiful essay. You will be having good content, no doubt. Content mein enriched ho aap. Now this enriched content, you have to structurize it. That structurization will come through a short note making. When you make a short notes and when you start to revise it multiple number of times, you have apt content. All you need to do is organize it and write it. So that's why writing an essay will be very easy, right? You know about the resources, agriculture of India, and then the physical setting of India, be it industries, cultural settings and settlements. And lastly, you'll also study even about the contemporary issues, which are nothing but the current affairs which are taught in the class itself. Look at these contemporary issues which are part of your GS paper 2. It talks about environmental hazards, landslides, earthquakes. You can predict the questions or else the patterns. Examples, suppose Joshimath earthquake is there, Joshimath land subsidence. That will definitely be asked in the paper 2 in one or the other format. Maybe about the land subsidence, maybe about the settlements, maybe about the subsidence pattern. It will be there. And current affairs, you take the examples and put it here. And these things, contemporary issues of ecological and environmental angle, if they are taught into the classroom, on the other side, at the preliminary level, it is very easy for you to clear prelim. Right? Mains mein, you can apply them and again you can write it into the GS paper 1 and paper 3 as well. So holistically, you will have a better understanding of the entire general studies syllabus, right? And generally, there is also a misconception that scoring nahi hai. See, if the subject is not scoring, there won't be any people, there won't be students clearing that. See, generally, you look into the 2019 and 2018, this is 2018 mein jo pass hua tha. On an average, you look into the geography number, how many students clear prelims? 1990. How many students finally cleared? 101. If this subject is not scoring, 100 students will not make it to the list. Okay? Only 5 or 10 will make. Not like that. See, it's a fake conception that any subject will not get scored. All the subjects have their own scoring, right? It is just about, is that optional? Are you able to fit into that optional or not? Is your thought process fitting into that or not? And trust me, geography is one such subject which is common to everyone. You have studied that from class 6 to class 10 and you are already trained for that, right? You are already trained for that. All you need to do is you have to organize yourself as a matured guy by learning the syllabus of UPSC, right? See, in your own words, we have one of our topper saying what he says about this geography optional. Okay. Usually geography mein, people who take up this geography as a subject, they have their added advantage into paper 1 and paper 3, and holistically you will be preparing for near about 750 marks. And it's not like that this, if the subject is lengthy, you will also look into the number of marks, right? You should not be worried while you are entering into this subject. Once you have chosen, no looking back. And before choosing whatever you wanted to try and test, you can try and test. So we at the theIAShub, we give you an opportunity where we are going to start with the preparatory classes or the early classes for your geography optional, which are going to start from 20th of February. From this 20th of February, you will have an option where you can come attend our classes at free of cost and test yourself, do you fit into this particular subject or not? And basics of geography will be taught to you, so that you will have a platform that will be created so that you can go and learn the concepts of geography. And it will be starting from 20th of February. For you to register, please make sure to click in the link, click the link which is given in the description and register there, and make sure to join these classes if you think that this optional fits to you, or this optional is of your type, or else this optional is one of the good content enriched entities where you can grab them, right? Thank you guys. And before that, let me also share my contact number. If you do have any doubts regarding this, you can directly message me. This is my contact number, and my name is Madhusudan Reddy. Thank you, and see you in the classrooms.